Hello, my name is NZ Chen and I am a PhD student at the University of California, Berkeley. Today, I will be giving a tutorial on how to run problem-solving sessions with Zoom breakout rooms. I hope you will find the topics in this video useful for your online classrooms this fall and beyond. This tutorial will be broken down into 3 parts. First, I define what I mean by problem-solving session and why I think they're useful. Then, I will go into the nuts and bolts of Zoom breakout rooms. And finally, I will give a demo of these concepts in real time. Let's jump right in. Why do we need a problem-solving session? Students cite the lack of interactivity and lack of peer cooperation on coursework as the main reasons for their dissatisfaction with online instruction this past spring. Therefore, any measures we take to fill this void could greatly improve online instruction in the fall. Also, we know that solving problems is one of the best ways for students to learn the material. We learn by doing, and it takes dedicated, repeated practice. These problem-solving sessions can be for homework, extra practice problems, or even in-class exercises. Basically, any activity where students are actively applying their knowledge to solve problems collaboratively. Doing so gives them a chance to discuss ideas with their peers, which ordinarily occurs in the physical classroom, and which this activity attempts to replicate. This allows them to engage in active learning while getting live help from a TA if needed. This allows students to build new friendships and make them feel more included in the academic community. A few of my good undergrad friends and I met in these types of problem-solving sessions, and I would not have met them otherwise, so I'm thankful for these opportunities. Finally, to extend this opportunity to all students, including remote ones, we can host a virtual problem-solving session with Zoom. So let's see how we can implement this with Zoom breakout rooms. For those who aren't familiar, breakout rooms is a feature that allows you to split meeting participants into separate, smaller rooms. These splits can be chosen on the fly, manually or automatically. However, you will need the Zoom desktop client, so make sure you've downloaded it and signed in with the appropriate account. The desktop client allows you to manage breakout rooms and use the group messaging function. In this figure, I will quickly illustrate what the setup for the Zoom classroom will be like. As you know, the TA and students will enter the main meeting room when they first join a Zoom meeting. Then, when some students want to discuss a particular problem, the TA as the host can assign them into a breakout room. Here, students can discuss the problem in private, and then when they're done, they can jump back into the main meeting room. You repeat this for the next group of students, and the next one, which can happen in parallel. During this time, they can also ask for your help, in which case you can quickly join them in the rooms and give them a hint towards the solution, or just check on how they're doing from time to time. In addition to assigning students manually like this, you also have the option of automatically assigning them into working groups randomly, such as at the beginning of the class, which works well for in-class exercises or situations where you know that they're all at the same pace. So this is at a high level how things will work, and we'll demo this later. First, I just want to talk about some settings for breakout rooms. In order to enable breakout rooms, you have to go into the Settings menu in the Zoom desktop client and click View More Settings at the bottom. This takes you to the online interface where you click In Meeting Advanced and then toggle breakout rooms so that they're on, which will appear blue. Once you've done so, in future meetings where you are the host, you will see the set of squares in the bottom toolbar for breakout rooms. This might be hidden in the More menu. Once you click on breakout rooms, you can choose how many rooms you want and how you want to do the splits. When you click Create Rooms, this takes you to the main interface, where you will need to assign students by clicking Assign and selecting which students go into which rooms. Once you've assigned at least one student, you can click Open All Rooms to begin the breakout room session. Once people are in the rooms, they will have a green dot next to their name. If someone is unassigned, you can assign them by hovering over their name and clicking Assign To and selecting the appropriate room. You can choose to join them by clicking the Join button. You can also broadcast messages to all the rooms, such as, I'm about to explain problem 2 to the whole class. Please pop out if you would like to listen. And that's the basics. You should be able to get up and running with these instructions. Of course, you might run into some problems along the way, and while I can't foresee all of them, I do want to address a common one here. Breakout rooms are fairly secure, but this makes communication between the rooms quite difficult. Let me illustrate with a couple of real scenarios. Sorry about that. In the first scenario, as we've discussed, the students in breakout room 1 might want you to join them for some help. However, in the breakout rooms, they have no way of chatting with the main meeting room. And so, how do they get your attention? Well, one person could leave the room, find you in the main meeting room, and have both of you rejoin the breakout room. So let's say you do that, but now that you're there, the students in the main meeting room would like a breakout room of their own. Because these students were not assigned to breakout room 1, they have no way of entering that room and getting your attention. Similarly, you can imagine that if you have several rooms running in parallel, and as you're helping one room, students in another room also need your help. Again, they have no way of reaching you when you're in the other room. In the fourth scenario, you might think that, if you bring a co-TA along and make them co-host, this problem can be resolved. However, co-hosts cannot manage breakout rooms, so they cannot assign students, they can't assign themselves, and they cannot jump between the different breakout rooms. All of these severely limit the communication when you have multiple breakout rooms open. So what do? Basically, you need a way to have everyone chat in real time no matter where they are in the Zoom world. There are many proposed solutions to this. My friend Alice put together a Zoom protocol using Google Docs for her lab class. Google Docs is nice because it's a functionality that most people are familiar with, and it can keep a history of everything that was said. The solution I want to show here is a little less prominent, and that is the group messaging feature in the Zoom desktop client. The perk here is that it is integrated with the Zoom environment. However, I want to emphasize that this is not the same tiny chat window that you see in a Zoom meeting. This is a whole separate function in the desktop client. Let's see how it works. First, as the instructor, you'll want to change your settings. So go to Settings, Chat, and make sure that you've turned on all push notifications, that you've turned off Do Not Disturb, and that your notifications are not muted when you're on the meeting, because you want to be able to see your students' messages. Then, you might have to add all of your students as your chat contacts. So go to the contacts in the top right, click the plus button, and add a contact. You'll have to add the email addresses for all your students and ask your students to sign into Zoom with that email address to accept your request before you can chat with them. This might be a little cumbersome. However, I want to emphasize that depending on how your organization set up your Zoom account, you might not need to do this step. For example, if I use the SSO option and sign into the Berkeley domain with my Berkeley email, I already have every single Berkeley affiliate stored in my contacts, even if they're not explicitly shown here. So however you get your students added, once you do, you can go over to the Chat tab and create a channel for your class. Click the plus button next to Recent and create a channel. Here, you can put the channel name, type, and the members. You will know if you need to be able to add external users or people with an email outside of your organization. We'll demo how to do this in real time shortly. Before that, I would like to offer some of my thoughts on the format of these problem-solving sessions. First, I believe that the intent of this is really for pure problem solving. And as the TA, your main focus will simply be to facilitate breakout room operations so that things go smoothly. This is different, in my point of view, from teaching a section or holding office hours, as I believe the purpose is to create a productive space for collaborative work, especially if there are students who are new to your institution or program and who might not know any of their classmates. However, it's possible that this format could transfer to office hours. Or if you're a high school instructor and want to dedicate some class time to working on problems, you can set this up on the fly very easily. Third, I mentioned the group messaging feature as a workaround the communication barrier, but you might not need it if, for example, all of your students are fine with staying in the main meeting room. However, I think it's better to be safe than sorry, and if you set up the channel once, then you're good for the whole semester. Finally, if you're still on the fence about having these sessions, I would say to give it a shot and see how your students respond. Trying it will eliminate your uncertainty, and collecting feedback is an important part of the learning process, both for you and your students. So with that, we're going to move on to the demo with me and my quote-unquote guests. I will show you how to operate the Zoom desktop client, how to create and assign breakout rooms, and how to use the group messaging feature when you're in the rooms. And so we'll go over here. We'll start up Zoom, taking us to the desktop client. We'll click Contacts. And here is where you would normally be able to see all of the students that you've added. Now when we go to the chat feature, we're going to create a new channel. where we can put the name, type, and the channel members. We aren't going to do that here because we've already done that. We've created a YouTube demo channel in which I've added my 3 students. And so the next time I'm holding a problem-solving session, I'll fire up a Zoom meeting. And let's say that after conversing for some time, Enzi and Mom want to discuss a question in a breakout room. I'll easily go to breakout rooms. I'll assign 3 rooms for good measure. And make sure to assign Enzi and Mom to breakout room 1. Once I click open all rooms, Enzi and Mom will eventually enter the breakout room, which is symbolized by having a green dot, and Harry and I are the only ones left in the main room. And let's say after working on this for some time, they have a question. They send a message in the channel, and here we see it pop up as a notification on my screen. I'll let them know that I am coming. So in the breakout rooms interface, I just have to click join. And just like that, I have entered their breakout room, in which case I can give them the hint. And let's say in the middle of this discussion, Harry has a question. So he sends a message and I see, now I'm able to see it. I can say, sure, 1 minute. And once I finish up here, what I can do is open up breakout rooms interface, assign Harry to his room, and switch over to his room all while I'm in one of the breakout rooms. And so as you see, it's very easy for the host to shuffle back and forth in between the breakout rooms. And just for good measure, let's say that in breakout room number 1, they have a follow-up question. Enzi is asking for another hint. And so we can say, and so as you can see, we can easily switch back over to breakout room 1. And once I've finished addressing their question, I click leave room to enter back into the main room where I can join the other students and handle their requests there. At the end of the session, when I want to exit the Zoom meeting, I can broadcast a message saying left. And this will let students know in all the rooms know that there's 1 minute left, in which case the session is over. This concludes the demo and the tutorial. Thank you for listening.